woman in leadership that has been struggling a bit with confidence in leadership. It happens to the best of us. And in this video, I'm going to share with you more of a deep dive into what could be potentially causing you to not have the confidence that you want to have as a leader. So we're going to find out today in this video what's holding you back. Oftentimes, people struggle with this in leadership roles or even outside leadership roles in terms of confidence. And so by the end of this video, you should have some insight in terms of what could potentially be holding you back from going to that next level in your leadership journey or that next level in your career or etc. I'll walk through with you a couple of coaching questions that I would typically give to my executive coaching clients to help you on your journey and be able to provide you with some really quick wins to help you start thinking about things a bit differently. So this is not an advanced type of video today as it relates to communication, but this is going to be a deep dive for you. And I hope that even though I am live on YouTube as it relates to this topic, that you're able to take something from this live today and start applying it into your life and start strategizing and making those plans to start helping you move forward. Now, my name is Dr. Jacinta. I am so excited to be with you here today. As I mentioned, I am live, and there's typically a point when I'm live that will have people join. So bear with me. I'm going to share with you strategies that I have personally done in this particular scenario, but I do want to make sure that I say hello to everyone that's joined. If you're watching this right now, you're more than likely watching the replay. So there is a point where people will start to join, and we'll talk a little bit more about confidence in leadership. What's holding you back? Now, one of the things that I do want to start off in this live is to understand confidence. Confidence itself is something that people talk about often, and it is majority of the time one of the fundamental pillars, characteristics that you need to have in your repertoire as a leader. It is something that you're going to need to absolutely have. And so thank you so much for those of you who are joining live today. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. Feel free to let me know where you are joining from in this big, beautiful world today. Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to be able to say hello to wherever you're joining from and celebrate you. If you have any questions as it relates to confidence in leadership, and if you really are seriously, now I mean seriously, wanting to find out what's holding you back from feeling confident and being that confident person as a leader, you are going to want to stay to the end of this live. I don't know how long the live is going to go, but I'm going to share with you some executive coaching questions, exercises that I do with my clients in a one-on-one setting that will help you to dive deep tonight. It's going to help you dive deep and to really start to uncover what are some of those things that are really holding you back from moving forward in your career. You're gonna gain something out of this today. So let me say hello to those who have joined. Emma, for you, hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here, Emma. Welcome, welcome. And Emma is from America. Fantastic, very good. Well, I'm glad you're here today, Emma. If you have any questions specifically as it relates to confidence and leadership, we're going to go into a lot today. We're going to dive a bit deep today to help everyone overcome some of these challenges. Feel free to ask me any questions that you need to ask in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them for you and provide you with over 20 years worth of experience that I've had as a C-suite executive, a director, a manager, an executive coach, a public speaker, to help you be able to escalate how quickly you're able to advance in your career. So let's see. Emma has a question. So Emma said, honestly, all I do is care about what people think. And how do I prevent that if I want to wear and do something and all I think in my head is what? Okay, I am back. For some reason, when I go live, the audio, the video, it just glitches for some reason. So I'm on YouTube's live streamer panel. They invited me to do that. and I'll be giving them feedback on the platform. So this is one of the things I'll have to mention because this happens a lot live for some reason. But anyways, I want to go back and read Emma's question. If you all missed it, I was reading it before my audio went out. So Emma, for you, asks, honestly, all I do is care about what people think, and how do I prevent that if I want to wear and do something and all I think in my head is what they think? So that is a really good question, Emma. And a lot of times people kind of struggle with, there's a balance where you want to still dress appropriately as a leader, but then you sometimes will get into what people think. And I'll tell you, just from over 20 years of experience, it takes time to not care what people think, if that makes sense. It is something that you just have to start thinking about and programming yourself in. So I'll give you an example. One of the things I would tell one of my clients, if we were in like a coaching session ourselves, I would say, Emma, what makes you feel confident? What makes Emma feel confident? And we would go through a list of whatever those things are. Maybe it's a certain type of dress, maybe it's a certain type of outfit, maybe it's a certain type of color. It could be anything. And so knowing what makes you feel confident is what's most important. What other people think about you can have some effect on that, but there comes a point in your career where you have to only focus on you. If you have something that you like to wear, and this is what makes you feel confident as a person, then this is what is going to make you feel confident. It doesn't matter if the person that is the individual that you're concerned about doesn't like it. Ultimately, you have to reflect on you. And oftentimes we do get caught up in our head, as you mentioned in your comment, that sometimes we just are so worried about what other people think. A lot of times that comes from our upbringing or where we're raised, or culturally what we're taught. Oh, you can't look like that because other people think things specifically. So you want to get yourself to a point where you are really confident in you and you're not worried about what other people are thinking. It takes time to get there. It does. I would say as long as you are dressed professionally and you're conducting yourself in a professional way, then everything else, I wouldn't worry about what everybody else says. Now, if you're wearing something that might be inappropriate and may not be the best version of yourself that I tell my clients, then okay, then there's some things that we might want to think about changing. But ultimately, think about what makes Emma feel confident. And whatever makes Emma feel confident is absolutely what Emma needs to do, because that really is the foundation of everything. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is that confidence is really the fundamental pillar you have to have if you're trying to advance yourself in a leadership role or in your career or wherever you're trying to go in your life. Confidence is one of those things that is non-negotiable. You have to have it. If you don't have it, it will prevent you from moving forward. If you have it, then it will help you to accelerate your growth even faster. So Emma, I hope that answers your question in terms of how you can kind of prevent it. You just have to be pro Emma, I would say. Be very proactive about yourself, what makes you feel confident. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what everybody else has to say. As long as you're dressed appropriately, you're dressed professionally, you're conducting yourself as a professional, then everything else is just, you just try not to worry about it as best you can. Now, if you need some specific support in terms of more customized support where you and I can kind of work together in a coaching type of setting, then feel free to contact me on any platform. You can DM me on X-Lite Excellence on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn at Dr. Jacinta Lamantai. And then there should be a strategy session linked in the description below. So let me know if you need some additional support. I'll be happy to do an executive strategy session with you, and we'll talk about different ways we can support you on your journey. Okay, so if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to answer them as we're going through some topics in terms of confidence in leadership, what's holding you back. And I appreciate you so much for being so candid about that in terms of the struggle that you have as it relates to just kind of wanting to please everybody and kind of wanting to know what they're thinking. So thank you so much for that. So Jay asked, where am I from? So I'm from the United States of America. That is where I'm from. And Emma said, yeah, you're right. Well, thank you, Emma. And thank you. I appreciate you as well. And hello again. Thank you so much. So we talked about confidence as our foundation. And so we started off with a really great question from Emma. So if you missed that question, then go back to the replay and check it out, take a look at it. But really great question, really great dialogue in terms of that mindset that a lot of us do have when we're worried about what other people are thinking about us. So try your best not to, but watch the replay if you want to learn a bit more about that. Now, another thing about confidence that I wanted to mention, that one, we know that it's fundamental. You have to have it if you're trying to move forward. The second thing about confidence is that there's different layers to it. Now, I have a 3-part YouTube series. It is an older series on my channel. It's probably a year or two old. But in the series itself, I focus on the true definition of confidence. And I break it down based off of situations that can happen that will reflect confidence, one, within you, and then two, reflect your confidence to other people. So if that is something that you want to learn a bit more information about, and if you're really serious and if you're watching this video, I know you're serious about being confident. And if this is something that you want to really dive deep into, then start with the Confidence mini-series that I mentioned to you a few moments ago. It is a 4-part series. As I mentioned, it's been a couple years since I recorded it, but I believe it was a 4-part series. We dive into that definition of confidence, and I guarantee you, you will be able to get some value out of that particular series, because it's going to help you understand what it is that you need to do to help you become a bit more confident. So we talked about the foundation. If you want a deeper dive into the word confidence and truly what it means to get that grasp of it and move forward, then absolutely check out the 4-part mini series that I have on my channel that talks about confidence, the definition. One of the things that people tend to struggle with as it relates to confidence is 2 things. And I have seen this over the past 20 years of experience, just in different managerial roles, supervisor roles, C-suite roles, and etc. But majority of the time when people are struggling with confidence, or they're struggling with clarity, or they're struggling with confidence in leadership, they are not clear on what is actually really holding them back. Sometimes as leaders, and particularly as women in leadership, we have a lot of things that go on. We have this fire, that fire, this fire, that fire, a fire in your face, a fire behind your back. There's a lot of fires that we end up dealing with as leaders, right? And we sometimes become overwhelmed in our minds because we are just processing so much at one time. And when we get to that phase where you're just in the flow of things, you're in the flow, you're in the trenches, and you just are overwhelmed in your mind, we as people, as leaders, take a back seat in our own lives. And if you watched our live yesterday, it was actually one of the lives on my channel that was definitely more of a record-breaking live for my channel in terms of the views. But we had a really good dialogue about how to lead yourself. And a lot of times as leaders, we do not lead ourselves for that reason, because we're so busy trying to lead everybody else that we just put ourselves off to the side and say, I'll worry about that later. I don't need to worry about this right now. And then we wake up one day and it's years later, we're burnt out, we're tired, we don't want to manage anymore because we didn't take that time to take care of ourselves. So we don't want to do that as best as we can. So having that time to do some self-reflection is very, very, very important as it relates to advancing yourself as leaders. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about today, specifically in this video, that will help you start to have that time to really start thinking about what's really holding you back in terms of helping you to be that confident person. What's really holding you back from going to that next level in your career? Or what's really holding you back from being that best version of yourself? We're going to talk a bit about it today and think about some scenarios. I'll give you some of my personal things that I'm actually working on right now to just show you that This is really where growth happens. Growth happens when you start to self-reflect, you start to understand yourself a lot better. And this is what happens in an executive coaching session, is where we start to get to understand you, and you get to understand yourself, because a lot of times we don't take that time to really understand ourselves, and then we just find ourselves on a hamster wheel, so to speak, in leadership, where you're just running every day to put out fires, because this is going on, that's going on, and we don't take care of ourselves. So we have a good foundation. We've talked about confidence a bit. We've went into the definition of confidence. I touched on it just briefly. There's a series that you want to check out on my channel that I talked about a moment ago. And so now I'm sharing with you why leaders struggle with confidence in leadership. And it's because we don't really take a lot of time to take care of ourselves and to be able to focus on what's important to us. So most of the time, what I found is that confidence, when we're talking about it in leadership specifically, comes down to two type of scenarios, I would say, as to why people feel like they are not confident as leaders. Are you ready? And if you have any questions about any one of these, or confidence in leadership, or you have any insights you want to share, feel free to put them in the comments below, for those of us who are watching live, and then for the individuals that are watching the replay. So it comes down to two scenarios. This is just what I've seen over my 20 years, and this is my very, very humble opinion in terms of what it comes down to when people say they don't feel confident as leaders, or confident in something. There's something that they don't have confidence in. Majority of the time, there is a lack of one or two things. The first lack is a lack of knowledge. The second is a lack of experience. I have found that it really comes down to those two scenarios that come up as to why people do not feel confident. So let's dive into those a bit, and I'll share with you my personal insights, and I would really love to hear from you all too, in terms of what are some things that are maybe holding you back from moving forward with your confidence. So when it comes to a lack of knowledge, think about this, and I want to know from you all in the comments below. If you're watching the replay, comment below. If you're live, comment also. Let me ask you a question. Think about a time, or a scenario, or a situation where you did not feel confident. Let's think about it. Think about a time or a scenario when you did not feel confident. Okay, so we got the scenario, the one we didn't feel confident in. Now let's reflect on that scenario, and let's really think about it. What was it about that scenario that made you not feel confident? Was it that there was some information that you did not know? Or was this your first time doing something? Or was this for your maybe first or second time leading a big project, and you haven't done that often? What was it? Put it in the comments below. Let me know. Because this is where growth really starts to happen. Now, you've thought about your scenario. What happened when you didn't feel confident? It really comes down to those two type of scenarios that I mentioned to you. There's something missing in the knowledge base. There's something missing in the aspect of your experience. So what can you do to do that? So when we think about that scenario, the one that we just talked about, for you specifically, and when you think about what it was that made you feel, why did you not feel confident? What happened? What was it that was missing? It's probably either knowledge or experience, one of the two. And this is a way for us to get started in terms of figuring out what's holding you back. Like, what is actually holding you back? Because if you take a moment to figure out what it was, what was that scenario, what was that thing that actually prevented you and made you not feel confident, This is how we figure out what's holding you back. Now, you might be wondering, well, okay, I got this in my mind. I know what it was, but what do I do next? Like, I know the information, like what do I do next? So this is something that we would discuss in an executive coaching session where we would develop an action plan to help you gain that confidence you need so that you do not feel confident in a particular scenario again, so that you are always feeling very, very comfortable, very confident if this particular scenario comes up again. So let me give you an example. For me personally, as something that I'm actually working on, and I am sharing with you as an example as to how you can start to build up your confidence if you're not feeling like you're confident. So let me know in the comments below. I want to say hello, Frankie. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Frankie said that's so true. Well, I appreciate that. And let me know where you're joining from. And also, if you have any questions as it relates to confidence and leadership. And this particular live, we're diving deep to kind of uncover what's holding you back from either advancing in leadership or what's holding you back from advancing in your career or going to that next level. This is the live for that today. So I'm doing a bit more executive coaching in the live today to really uncover like what is holding you back so that we can maybe develop some type of plan that will help you be able to think about how to move forward. So for me personally, so one of the things I've shared with you all on my channel, and you've probably heard me talk about it, just not often, but a few times, is that I have been or used to be a member of Toastmasters International for a very, very long time. And I'm actually getting back into the swing of things so I can rejoin. And during my time with Toastmasters International, I did a lot. I enjoy public speaking. This is something that I'm passionate about. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And with their organization, if you don't know of Toastmasters International, is a phenomenal organization. It is the world-renowned leadership and public speaking and leadership organization in the world. And they have about 358,000 members worldwide that participate in clubs and contests and etc. Well, they have this program called the Distinguished Toastmaster Award, and only 1% of their actual members worldwide, so 1% of their 358,000 members worldwide actually accomplished the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Why? Because it is hard. It's not easy. There's a lot of things you have to do. There's a lot of speeches you have to do. There's a lot of information that you have to know. You have to participate in leadership roles. You have to move clubs forward in their growth. There's a lot you have to do. And so I accomplished the Distinguished Toastmaster Award in 2019. So why am I sharing this with you? Toastmasters has changed to where they have different paths now. So they have different paths to their program. Now I've been around for a while. And so I used to be in Toastmasters when they were doing a competent leadership and their competent communicator and etc. So now it's into pathways. There's two paths that I did with Toastmasters International. The first path was presentation mastery, where you learn how to present very well. The second path was persuasive influence. And so I did those two paths, but there is a specific path that I have not done that I am going to be doing that I want to improve upon. And I share this with you because we're talking about confidence and leadership, what's holding you back. And so this is something personally that I'm actually working on myself that I have not had the chance to jump into, but I am very soon. So they have another path that I planned on signing up for, but I had a couple things happen life-wise where I wasn't able to get started on the third path. And it is storytelling. So storytelling is something that is very important. I know how to tell stories. I can tell a story, but there's different levels to it. So I can speak in public, but I decided to do presentation mastery, their path, and I decided to do persuasive influence. All of those things to help me go to that next level. And so sometimes you have to be honest with yourself. Can I do better with storytelling? Of course, I would like to, which is the reason why I want to do more and want to sign up for that path. So this is an example that I'm sharing with you personally of something that I'm actually working towards myself because I want to improve myself. I want to better myself, even though I'm doing well, but I can always improve and do better regardless of what level that you are in. You would be completely surprised by the number of people that you see on YouTube, you may see on LinkedIn, you may see on Instagram, that are influencers like myself, and they are at a higher level. But sometimes this is what happens, and this is real talk. I talk to you about real scenarios and real situations that happen, is that they get to this high level and they feel like, I can't do anything else. Everybody else is below me. I'm here, and there's nothing else that I can learn. And I will tell you, that is the fastest way for you to just slow your growth as a person, period. Because we can always grow. We can always learn as much as we can. I've done Distinguished Toastmaster. That's 1% of 358,000 people. So yes, I have done that. But I'm still telling you that there's things that I personally want to grow on. So if you're really serious about that confidence in leadership, what's holding you back, you have to take time to really think about what is holding you back. And take that time to do some self-reflections and really think about it, just like I did. I just shared with you something personally that I'm working towards. And I know that I can be an even better communicator if I can master the art of telling stories and being able to tell a story, help the audience feel like they're visually in a scenario or a situation that I have. This is something that I'm working on, that I am trying to do to help me go to that next level. So that is me. So I want to hear from you all. What are some things that you feel like are holding you back from that confidence and leadership that you're looking to obtain, that you want to gain, or that confidence that you're looking to just advance to that next level in your career? What is it? What is it that you feel like is holding you back? We did an exercise earlier, a coaching exercise, where we talked about scenarios. So if you missed it, then definitely check out the replay. But let me know what you're thinking about. So as I am waiting for that, let me check out the chat. Okay, so Frankie said, what if you make a bad executive decision now? You second guess yourself now. Okay, so that's a really great question, Frankie. And Pro BTC, welcome back. I hope you're going to talk about Bitcoin a little bit today. We talked about Bitcoin a little bit yesterday, but if you have any questions, let me know. So going back to Frankie's question, so if you make a bad executive decision and you second guessing yourself, this happens. So let's think about this in terms of the decision. I don't want to necessarily say it could be a bad decision. You may have made the decision with the information that you had at the time. Sometimes in retrospect, maybe we could have did something a little differently. We could have done something differently, had a better decision to make. That can happen. However, if you have made a decision that maybe you're not so proud of, or a decision that you felt like you probably could have done a bit differently with your team or the business, the organization that you were leading, it's okay because you're not perfect. However, if you start second guessing yourself, it takes away your confidence. Now, just because you made a decision that may not have went the way you wanted it to go, that doesn't mean that you're a bad executive. So keep that in mind, because sometimes, especially as executives, and Frankie, I can tell you're in the leadership world by the question you're asking, but sometimes as executives, we do put that extra pressure on ourselves because we are at that higher level. We're leading teams, we're leading a lot of people. And when we make a mistake, we feel like it's like, oh gosh, we have dropped the ball completely. We definitely did not make a touchdown. This is just not working out for us. So remember that you're in your role for a reason. You're in the role to make the good decisions. You're in the role to address the ones that did not work out. So things that I've done when I've made decisions that I didn't think in retrospect were the best decisions, I just acknowledge it. I acknowledge it with my team and say, this is what I decided to do before. Now that I've been able to gain some additional information, I believe this is probably not the best course of action for us. Let's redirect and let's go in a different way. Oftentimes, if you talk to your teams or the individuals you are leading or working with, they will give you some insight to say, hey, you know what? This isn't working. Like, it's absolutely not working. And the good thing about being a leader is that you have to listen more than you speak. So if you have your team telling you that, you know what, this was probably a really bad decision, I don't think I would, this is not working. This workflow is not working for us. Help us, please. All you have to do is listen and take the feedback and say, okay, this is my decision, and it looks like it's going to be not a good one. What can I do to make this right? And that is one of the most important things as a leader to remember is we're here to take care of things and address the big problems. That's why we are leaders and there's people that are following us and we're working together as a group. But just remember that if you make a mistake, acknowledge it, correct it as best as you can, or go in the right direction. The one thing I found that happens when you admit you made a mistake, because I've made mistakes over the years as a C-suite and as a director and a manager too. So whenever you make those mistakes and you reach out to the people that you trust in your team that will give you the honest scenarios, the honest answer in terms of what's going on, and know this is not working, your patients are mad, your clients are mad, your partners are mad, your stakeholders are mad, your board members are mad, then they will appreciate the fact that you are actually listening to them and what they have to say. And it develops a very nice co-working relationship where you are not necessarily just that leader that's like on the throne looking down at everyone to see what they're doing. It's not like that. It is more of a, how can we really work together? And that is where leadership comes into play, because oftentimes people, depending on where they are in their roles, they may have that very, very high and mighty type of thought about themselves, and they really do look down like that. And that's real talk. This is things that really do happen in the leadership world. I've seen it countless times over and over and over and over again. So just remember, you're in the role for a reason, and you're confident. We are all make mistakes. We're not perfect, but we just fix and take care of what we can. And try not to second guess yourself. I know when you make a big mistake, you can kind of second guess yourself. You're like, ugh, I don't know if I should really do this. I don't think this is right, or really should I do this? And so when you start second guessing yourself, you're putting yourself in that mindset to not be as confident as you need to be. And over time, that will start to impact you. It will start to impact you. It will start to give you that more, not that authoritative, not that assertive leader. It will start to degrade your leadership and lower your executive presence. And we don't want that, especially if you are subscribed to this channel. Definitely, we do not want that. So just make sure that you're in the role for a reason. Know that we're human. Know that we make mistakes. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace as a leader. It's hard enough as it is. You probably got a lot of fires you deal with, but try not to second guess yourself as best you can. Just remember, when you have those situations, what I'd like for you to do, Frankie, is what I do to what I tell my executive, my one-on-one coaching clients that I work with, is to think of the top 2 or 3 accomplishments that you have completed in your career. I don't know what those are. Get a pen, get a paper, write them down, or just think about them. And anytime you feel like you're at the point where you want to second guess yourself, or you're just not sure, you don't know, should I do it? Think about those major accomplishments, because I know you've done something amazing. All of us have done something amazing at some point in our career. So just reflect on those, and that should give you at least a little motivation, a little boost in your confidence to try to stop second guessing yourself. The fact that you even mentioned it says a lot about you. You have that heightened self-awareness that we talked about earlier in the live, where you have to have that self-reflection in order to grow. If you're not able to reflect on yourself, you will not grow. You will not know that, hey, you know what? Sometimes I'm noticing I'm second guessing myself as a leader, as an executive, when I made a mistake. Because a lot of times people will just keep going there and say, oh, I made a bad mistake, I'm not worried about it. And they keep making mistakes until one day something happens and they're like, what's going on? What is my problem? I don't understand. And then they lead to burnout, they get frustrated, and they don't want to move forward. So I hope that helps you, Frankie. I really do. I know how challenging it can be as a leader, especially as an executive, when you're making those big decisions and you second guess yourself. But I want to encourage you, think about those 2 to 3 things that you have done that have been amazing, and think about how you felt when you did them. Think about what was going on. Think about how the big impact that you made, and keep those at the forefront of your mind at all times. Whether you have reminders in your workplace, whether there's an award you accomplished, or is a project that you build, or something. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, have that nearby to you, so that if you mentally are just swamped and you're overwhelmed, then you have like a visual reminder that's there that reminds you of, wow, yes, I did do this. Take a picture, put it on your wallpaper of your phone. I mean, we're all attached to our phones like it's our lives, and it is. But just have something, that reminder, something. And this is what I tell my executive coaching clients. We need to make sure that your confidence is at that higher level all the time. This is something I talk about in the Real Executive Woman, which is a transformative program I have. But as you know, I work with anybody, specifically on my YouTube channel, as it relates to being able to help them get to that next level of leadership. So just build up that confidence. Continue to build that confidence. Don't let it go, because anytime you think negatively or start second guessing yourself, it does impact you here. You may not notice it initially, but it does. And so every single time that happens, it lowers your confidence. So we don't want to even think about it. We know we made a mistake. We're moving forward. Let's make sure we put all those amazing things at the forefront, so that you have that in your mind whenever this time comes up. So let me know if you have any other questions. Let me look in the chat and see that. Okay, Frankie said, okay, I will remember that. Absolutely, sure, of course. Frankie said, yeah, I remember you saying the 2 accomplishments reflection before. Yes, this is something that I have found that a lot of my clients really do appreciate, because one of the things that happens as leaders, and this is regardless of gender, is that we are high achievers. We are the high achievers because we are the leaders. And majority of times that happens to leaders is that we just go. We just go constantly running all the time. And we never take time to really think about us and what are some unique projects, unique results, or big impacts that we've actually made, because we're always on to the next one. Okay, what's the next goal? Okay, what's the next project? What's the next thing I got to work on? What's the next big vision I got to do? We always just go, but we don't actually stop and pause for a second and say, wow, this was a really big win for me. I'm really excited about that. Wow, this was really, really great. I'm so proud that I was able to accomplish this with whatever challenges that was going on, or whatever the case may be. That self-reflection is one of the secrets to helping you move forward, which is really the reason why we have this title as Confidence in Leadership, What's Holding You Back. And so I appreciate you so much for just mentioning that and being very candid about it. That was a really great discussion. If you have any other questions about confidence in leadership and things that might be holding you back, let me know. But I really appreciate you for being just forthcoming and talking about it, because people that are either watching the live or people that are going to be watching the replay even years from now will say, wow, this is something that happens a lot of times to executives, is that if we make a big mistake, a bad decision, then we sometimes do start to second guess ourselves, and that's where our confidence takes a toll, and it starts to go down. We don't want it to be that way. So I appreciate you so much for bringing that up. It's a really great question, great dialogue, and a lot of people are going to learn from it. So thank you so much for that. So a couple of things we talked about already for the live in terms of why confidence, what typically happens. So if you're not feeling confident, there's typically a couple things that may have happened. There may be a lack of experience, or there may be a lack of information. So if there's something that is a lack of information, then find out what it is that you need, what is holding you back. Think about that next level in your career. This is another coaching exercise. So think about that next level in your career. What specifically is it that you want to be able to accomplish at this next level? Write it down. Think about it. Whatever it is. There's something that you want to do. There's a next level that you're trying to go to. Now, the next thing I want you to think about is, what is this one thing that is holding you back from going to that next level? Is it a job? Is it income? Is it a position? Is it a location? Is it a change in industry? It could be anything. It could be anything. You're welcome to put it in the comments if you want to. If not, just keep it to yourself. So once you're identified where you want to be, this is what I do with my one-on-one clients. So this is I'm giving you all some really great insights to hopefully help you move forward. But where do you want to be? What's holding you back? And be honest with yourself. Like, what is it that's holding you back? I talked to you all about me personally in terms of I want to advance and become even a better public speaker, a communicator. I want to do better with storytelling. I told you, honestly, that's literally something I'm actually starting to work on here very soon. So be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself, because if you can't be honest with yourself, then you're not going to be able to move forward. So now that we know those two type of situations, then the third is, what is the number one most important step that you can take today? Not tomorrow, not in a year, not in 5 years. No, that's not how coaching works. Definitely not how executive coaching works with myself. No, we have to make some kind of plans. We have to make things happen. That's how you're able to move forward a lot faster in your career when you're working with an executive coach, because of what I'm sharing with you right now. So what is the one task? What is the one thing that we can do to help you start to move forward in your career now to get to that big goal? I mentioned to you all specifically for me personally that I had a lot of things going on, and so I didn't get the chance to do my storytelling path with Toastmasters International. So what's the one thing that I have to do? The one thing that I have to do is that I'm going to find a club online, more than likely, and start the storytelling path. That's it. When am I going to do it? It's probably going to be within the next week, more than likely. That's how you move forward in coaching. You need that push. You need that goal setting to be able to get to that next level. And I hope that this has been helpful for you, because this is exactly what I share with my clients in a one-on-one setting. So if you're wanting to get more customized support that's more specific to your situation, because there's only but so much I can share with you via live on YouTube. I hope that I am able to help you to start thinking of, okay, you have confidence, leadership, what's holding you back, and I hope I'm able to give you some actionable steps that you can really start thinking about that I would do in a coaching setting. But sometimes you need a bit more customized, like hands-on, someone really, really focused in on you, specifically support. And so that's what my executive strategy sessions are for. Feel free to contact me or reach out to me. I'll be happy to support you on your journey. We'll have a conversation, and then we'll talk about different options in terms of what it is you want to focus on. If you have one thing you focus on, if you have 2 things to focus on, or 3 or 4, we'll definitely go over some options to get you in a good place to where you need to be. If you're looking for a big transformation in your life, whether you're at the beginning of your leadership journey or perhaps you are a bit more seasoned in your leadership journey, that's what my Real Executive Woman program is for. That is for that big transformation, to really accelerate your growth, help you communicate at that higher level, develop that executive presence, and be that executive leader that I know you want to be. So we talked about a lot of information as it relates to confidence. We talked about what could be holding you back, and identifying what's the one thing that you can start doing today that can actually propel you forward even faster to overcome what's holding you back. This is where true growth happens, and how you will be able to move forward in your career. So I know there's a lot of people that have joined on and off on the live, and I appreciate you all so much for being here today and spending a bit of your time with me and working through what can be holding you back so that you can move forward in your careers. There's a poll I have on my YouTube channel. It's on LinkedIn. Also, I've talked about a couple of topics on my polls. If you can vote and let me know which topic you want me to talk about or focus in on, it will more than likely be something that we will dive into either this upcoming week, or I may even do it tomorrow when I have a bit more time on my lives to go deeper into that topic. The last time I checked, the topic that was receiving the most votes was confidence and clarity. So leaning into what we're talking about today, but I found that a lot of the people in my audiences, they want to gain more clarity. And so the video here today touches on how to gain more clarity, we can go into even more detail. Whenever you're ready, you can ask me questions. I'll be able to provide you with any insight and help you to grow on your journey to get that clarity that you're looking for. Sometimes you may have that big vision, that next role or next goal you're trying to accomplish, but there's still something about it that is really ambiguous. Like you just still are not clear. You know this is where you want to go, but the path does not look like a straight path forward. It looks a bit cloudy. You're not quite sure of like what's that next step. And so that's a great opportunity whenever I have my next live and I talk about clarity for us to maybe dive into personally, like what's going on with you, whatever you feel comfortable sharing on YouTube, and then we can talk about what are some actionable steps we can do to try to help you move forward, or at least talk it out to help you develop some plans or think about things a little bit differently. So I want to know from you, are there any other questions that you all have as it relates to confidence in leadership? This is a very big topic, and as I mentioned at the very beginning of the live, that this topic is a fundamental topic that you have to have if you're trying to go forward in your leadership journey. It is going to be very difficult for you to be able to move forward if you do not have confidence. And for those of you who join a bit later, there is a 4-part series that I have on my YouTube channel. Now, I will tell you, it is an older one. So I recorded it probably a couple years ago now, I believe. But it talks specifically about the definition of confidence and what you can do to reflect confidence in other people and etc. So you're welcome to take a look at that. And I have some other videos here, especially on my lives, where I talk a lot more about leadership, confidence, thinking on your feet, and etc. Thinking on your feet is always a good video. I always recommend for people to watch, because oftentimes in leadership roles as executives, as Frankie mentioned earlier before, we have to make those quick decisions. And sometimes we have to be able to respond quickly, even though we don't have time to prepare. So being able to think on your feet is something that is very helpful. It is a topic that I can literally talk about probably all day long, literally, because there's so much depth to it that oftentimes I find on YouTube that people don't go into as much. There's a lot more of the theory in terms of leadership or different leadership models and what it takes to be a leader, and those things are important. But sometimes, as all of us know as leaders, you need some guidance for someone to tell you or guide you, or at least show you this is specifically what you can potentially do to help you get this message across, instead of it being just a very fluffy motivational, which motivational is incredibly important. Motivation is always great. Motivational speakers are wonderful. I do that myself. But sometimes you just need real answers. You need real solutions, real things that people have done or seen before. And sometimes if you have individuals on YouTube, they've either been in scenarios where perhaps they've coached people that have been in leadership roles, or they've been in academia where they're not really learning. They're learning about leadership and taking leadership classes at different esteemed Ivy League universities. I will not say names, but this is something that happens a lot in leadership. You have to be in the trenches. You have had to be in those situations, like Frankie mentioned earlier, where you've made decisions where you know they are not the best decisions, or you have to go back and reflect on those decisions and change it. I've made decisions like that too, and I've had to go back and change the process or the direction I was going into. So unless you've actually been in those type of executive leadership roles, senior leadership roles, managerial roles, then it makes it very difficult for those individuals to really know how to seriously help somebody move forward. And that's the one thing I find that is lacking on YouTube, is that realness, that authenticity, where you have somebody that's actually been through it, not someone that's coaching people that are going through it. No, you've actually done it yourself. So for me personally, I've actually been in the trenches. I've worked as a C-suite, I've worked as a manager, I've worked as a director for the past 20 years. And I've been in those very friendly situations. I've been in those very contentious situations too. And I've spent time with congressional leaders over that time period. So I've been in those type of situations where you have to communicate at a higher level, which is one of the reasons why communication is such a huge hallmark of my business and my channel here, because there's just a lot of things that we don't really learn how to do as we are developing into leaders. We learn different things, we learn trial by fire, but what if somebody was able to help you go to that next level as a leader simply by modifying the way you are communicating? That's where I come in. That's why I'm here, and that's why I support my audience here with this channel. I will say that one of the things that came up, and this actually came up for me earlier today, is that I had, and this is just something to keep in mind for everyone, but when I'm talking about people on YouTube and etc., what I'm sharing with you, this is reality. Like, it actually does happen where people are not being provided with the depth that they really need to move forward. I had a conversation with a person. Won't say any names, of course I never do, but they actually work with another coach in a different type of environment. They actually work with two coaches, believe it at that. One of the coaches they work with, they told me honestly that it felt very rushed and that things were very, very rushed, and they felt like the person just did not have the depth that they needed to help them move forward with interviewing. So this person was interested in interviewing support. So what happened is that they've been through a lot of interviews. They have not received any job offers. And the person that she had worked with, the coach that she worked with, told her, oh, you're doing everything great. And so this individual said, well, how can I be doing everything great if I'm not getting a job? So this is an example of what happens sometimes on YouTube and what happens sometimes in the coaching industry. I'm an executive coach, and I'm telling you what's going on sometimes is that you'll have people that have been in different programs for coaching, and I think coaching is wonderful. I have coaches too that help me move forward. But sometimes you'll have those scenarios when you have people that just don't have that depth, that knowledge to really help you move forward in a specific discipline. So for me personally, I've done hundreds of interviews. I've done hundreds of resume reviews. So I know what it takes to look like the most appealing and most attractive person in an interview when you are speaking, so that the hiring manager or the individual you're working with says, wow, this is an amazing person, as long as you have the basic qualifications that they're looking for. It's just a lot of it comes down to how you communicate. But I share this because this does happen a lot of times in the coaching world, in YouTube. You will have people there that will give you guidance, give you general information, but they won't really tell you specifically what it is that you really need to do. And so you'll be in situations where you feel a bit empty, or you feel like you maybe didn't invest wisely, and you are in the same place that you were before. So that's something that I don't do. I really do provide my clients with exceptional support. That's why I don't work with as many clients, because I specifically provide them with support even after we have worked together. So a lot of coaches will say, okay, I will work for you for a specific time period, and after that time period, I can't work with you anymore, or we're done with our agreement. I'm not like that. I still check in with my clients that I've worked with years ago and see how they're doing. And that's what the difference is working with me compared to some of the other coaches, is that I do really provide that ongoing support, because I ultimately actually do care about you moving forward and how to support you. And even if you don't need support, how are things going? Just checking in, because there may be a point in time where you might need some assistance or some guidance. So I just wanted to put that out there, because you have to just be careful with anything online. You be careful what you learn, who you're listening to, and etc. I can't say that I have all answers to all of the world's problems. I definitely don't have that, but I do have a very, very high level, advanced knowledge of communicating, leadership, that will benefit you as you're navigating through your journey. So let me know if y'all have any questions. Emma is back. Hello, Emma. Hello again. Emma had a really great question at the beginning of the live. That was very helpful. She talked about something that is very, 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 very important. So I know that many of you have been on here for a while already, and I appreciate you being here. So I'm going to tell you to watch Emma's question in the live. It was a very good question that a lot of people struggle with, especially as they are relating to confidence and building up confidence as they are trying to transition to that next level in their careers. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you found this information to be helpful at all, then feel free to share it with someone. Share it with a colleague, share it with a friend, share it with a family member that is trying to elevate themselves and they know they want to become a better leader. They know they need to polish how they communicate. Maybe they want to learn how to read people. Maybe they want to become more charismatic. Well, this is the channel for them. I will give you real strategies to help you develop all those things and many more, especially as it relates to leadership and communication. So share it with them. Feel free to like the video. I have a few likes now, so I appreciate you all for doing that. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? This is the best time for you to subscribe. I do content like this fairly consistently for the most part. Now I'm in a more of a stable setting, so I can do a little bit more as it relates to my live and go back to the same cadence that I had about a month or two ago. So you'll see me here live. I'll be here live tomorrow. It might be around about the same time, and I will be live a bit longer, maybe longer than where I am right now, because right now this is going on 55 minutes. But we'll probably be talking a bit more about clarity unless something changes in the polls where people vote something higher. I know clarity and confidence was at the top, had the most votes. The next on the list, from what I remember when I looked at a couple platforms, was hard conversations. So hard conversations is something that leaders, we all struggle with. And I've been in situations where I've had hard conversations with people, but then there's level to hard conversations. So there's the superficial, like, okay, this is the disciplinary action. We're going to put you on a PIP. There's some things that we have to work through, but then I've also been in those very contentious conversations where I personally felt threatened by having a difficult conversation. So there's just certain things or certain aspects of it that you have to prepare for. And believe it or not, I prepare for, this may sound odd, but this is something that I do as an executive. I prepare all of my difficult conversations to be as if they were difficult conversations where something could potentially be threatening. And I'm doing this from my experience. I have had experience where conversations have went south unexpectedly for no reason. Sometimes you just don't know what's going on with people personally, and sometimes they may flip on you. That's something that happened to me on my end. I did not think it was a difficult conversation, but it turned into one, and the person just got really upset. So there's certain ways you have to plan yourself and prepare yourself when you have those hard conversations. So I'd be happy to dive into the different levels of hard conversations, but you have to vote on the polls. It's on Dr. Jacinta Lamantine on LinkedIn, and it is on my YouTube communities page. It should be a post that's there that has where you can vote on the topic that you want to learn more about. And I will absolutely dive into that. And I'll probably do that on a Friday when I have a lot more time. We could talk more about it and go through dialogue and answer any questions that you have specifically as it relates to that. And if you have any team members, or if you are a manager or a leader and you want your team members, or you've identified some people in your group that you know could benefit from elevating how they communicate, then just contact me and let me know. I will be happy to provide them with some support and help to elevate your team as a whole. Because if you have one person that is communicating at a higher level, then imagine if everybody else is too, especially if they are in a very public type of position where they may be facing media, or they may be in a situation where they are communicating to your stakeholders and etc. You do want those individuals to be very, very sharp in how they communicate and be very concise and very articulate. And that's something I can support them with as well. So let me know if you have any questions in the chat below. If not, I look forward to seeing any questions that you all have in the comments. And I will see you all tomorrow evening for the live, depending on which topic has the most votes. that's what we'll probably talk about and dive deeper into. So I appreciate you all so much for being here and spending some of your time with me and dialoguing with me and interacting and asking some phenomenal questions that have been so very helpful to help us have a conversation about how confidence in leadership is really important and what's holding you back from being confident in your leadership. So I'll see you all in the next video and hope you have a great evening. Bye for now.